So I've had a really good idea for how to win the war. What you do is you, in a sense, turn against your own people, but you get all the world leaders to try and form some sort of assessment or a test to work out whether or not you deserve life or deserve death. Because I've heard of things where America spent lots of money building up a big army to fight a different group of people that were causing a lot of problems. But what happened is that this group of people that they started helping basically just turned and became exactly the same or exactly as bad as the other people. And I think the basic problem was that a lot of people have wrong and right standards. You know, a lot of people think that it's fine to marry 11-year-olds. A lot of people think that it's fine to rape women or force women into marriage, or to beat your kids, or there's a lot of people that have a lot of false morals. And I feel like what the world should do is all the world leaders from all the different countries need to come together. I guess I would be a help of that. I am God, so I am the one that can do this and bring all the world leaders together. And then you need to have a sort of assessment to work out who is them that qualify as being the spirit of man. The spirit of man, okay, I don't really like the spirit of man, it's not my spirit, but it's a type of person that has a spirit is like a set of rules, a set of principles, a set of values. Humanity, I guess, is a type of spirit. It's a type of spirit that people live by and people accept and people see as being right and okay. I don't really agree with humanity because I feel like one-sided views, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. The spirit of humanity is the spirit of the Antichrist, because they kind of pose as me, they're kind of similar to me, they might have similar kind of values. People might see that me and Jesus as being two similar people, but we're not. If you knew the actual details about it, you'll see that we're not, and that our spirit is very different, and that our principles and our beliefs and our morals are all very, very different. But the spirit of man is like a universal thing that should be accepted as this is what man accept as acceptable. And then there's another spirit that's like the spirit of the animal, the spirit that thinks it's fine to force women to marry you, or force your kids to marry each other even if they don't like or don't know anything about each other. One that thinks that it's fine to beat your kids severely, or inflict harsh punishments, or rule over your wife. And if your wife doesn't want to have sex and you do, you can rape your wife because these are part of your animalistic traits. That there is a set of rules and set of things that aren't and shouldn't be part of the human lifestyle or human way of thinking. And so what you do is you have this test, and you tell your leaders, okay, we're going to start some sort of war, and we're going to all pin it. You could all pin it on Israel if you really wanted to. If you're like a sort of Muslim country, you could all pin it on Israel. Oh, Israel did that, Israel did. But really, you're actually just turning against your own people. You convince your people that you are there for them, and then you are going to help them, and you are going to support them, and then you get them to express how they feel. How do you feel about a woman who got raped by 7 people in one day? How do you feel about that woman? Do you think that woman should go to prison for how long do you think she should go to prison? 6 months, a year, 2 years? I mean, it's adultery. She's married, she shouldn't be having sex with people. So how long do you think that woman should go to prison for? And ask them these questions. If no one says, no, that woman should not go to prison because she's a victim and she didn't want this, if everyone says that, then you can be like, okay, everyone in your group is counted as the human spirit. They've got this, rape is bad, and they understand that if someone's forced to do something against their will, they shouldn't be punished for it because it wasn't their choice. If you've got, there's a certain principle and certain values that the human spirit should recognize. And if all the leaders recognize that people who don't live by this standard are actually less and are deserve to be in an animal body. If you think that it's fine to attack others or kill babies, okay, on one hand there's too many people in the world, so you need to figure out how to reduce the population and stuff, but this is it, that there is too many people here, and it's important that the worst ones go. People who act like animals, people who think like animals, people who live by the animal principle, people who think that men and women should just wear black and white. Well, that's what you would happen if you're an animal. If you become a black puppy or a white puppy, you don't get the choice. You have one. That's it. This kind of thinking, mustn't show your skin. It's almost like, what, so you want fur or something? Like, do you not like showing skin? I mean, if you're an animal, you wouldn't show skin because you'll just have fur all over you. There's some certain principles that I feel like have just stemmed from this sort of animal belief, and I don't want the leaders to start taking sides and start hating each other, but I feel like if the leaders can come together and say, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, and then you can judge your own people by making out that you're on their side, that you're going to help them, that you're going to support them, that you've got the funding, that you're going to give them everything they want, and then test them and then see what are you like. Are you more like a human, or are you more like an animal? And then, oh look, your drink got spiked, that wasn't us, that was Israel, or that was this person. I don't know if you really want to just point it all on Israel, but if there is a war going on, and wars happen because there's too many people, and I feel like this spiritual battle is actually about population reduction. But I think if the leaders can realize that and stop seeing their people, well, you can see your people as your people, but if they're your people, then you should be able to judge who is good and who is bad, who deserves life and who deserves death. And it's not for me to make this choice. It's for the leaders of these countries to do this, the people with the money, the people at the top. Judge what kind of world you want. You have to make heaven on earth. Now, do you really want heaven to be full of people that think it's fine to rape 11-year-olds? If you really don't, if you want to stand for justice, if you don't want to be that 11-year-old that's forced into marrying a 40-year-old because she has no choice and she got kidnapped or something, this could be you. And if you realize that when you die, you might be that 11-year-old that gets forced to marry a 40-year-old, you don't want that. That's not going to be heaven. You're going to be living in hell if that happens to you. And so if the leaders can recognize what right and what wrong is, based on what would they want if they died and came back as the opposite sex, or living in certain areas, you could come back anywhere, but what would you want in your world, in your standard? And if there is a war that just kills all the people that think it's fine to rape kids and stuff, well, that's you kill them, but you make it look like it wasn't you. You make it look like it's the other people. But yeah, the war, and if you wanted to, both sides could be like, well, we've got a bunch of rapists and we've got a bunch of people that think it's okay to marry 11-year-olds, so what we're going to do, we're going to put them all on the battlefield all together, and we don't care which side goes because they're all bad. Find out who the worst of your army is and say, right, we think you failed the test the most, so we're going to put you on the front line, and we think you failed the test the most, and we're going to put you on the front line. And then that's the whole point of an army. The whole point of an army is you want to find the best people, and therefore you need to test your people. But don't look for the best, look for the worst, and then you know who to use as your pawns. That's my suggestions. Like the Drop Dead Gorgeous film, there was a beauty pageant and they all ended up eating shrimp or shellfish and got sick, and they all died, or most of them not died, I think they were just sick. But yeah, the blonde one didn't eat the shellfish, so she was one of the few that were okay, hence she was the one that was crowned. I guess like that, only instead of it being an audition to see who's the prettiest, you do it an audition to see who's like the evilest, but don't make them aware that is what you're doing. And then we can get rid of the evilest ones, and then when they're out of the way, I might be safe to expose myself as being Christ, and then we can do another test to see who accepts me as God and who does not.